Going on, y'all? Currently, I'm on Pixelbed again in the copyright-free music section. Just running through them. I'm going to kind of skip through them, so I don't have to worry about anything, even though I clicked on royalty-free. We're going to get started here shortly. No, I actually like that one. It is garbage. See what this beat is. Don't like that beat either. Garbage. Yeah, we about to get out of this one. I found one in here yesterday to start off, and it was kind of dope. Today, I don't know what they got going on, but we don't actually need Pixel Bay. So what's going on, man? For those that are just now tuning in, you watching Politics is War. For those that have no idea who I am B. Ellington. I am your host. I do have former political experience. We're not going to get into that tonight. Tonight, we're going to jump down the rabbit hole. We're going to go somewhat deep down the rabbit hole. We may skim on a little bit of national topics. And for those in Kansas City, like I promise you, I will do an update this weekend on Kansas City issues. You have some elections coming up, and you have some development that I've been waiting to talk about. But with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. And tonight is going to be one of those episodes where I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and dive deep into unknown territory. So I want to start with this picture right here. This picture is me and Eric Burleson, right? And I got Eric Burleson behind me for a reason. Because he's a real person. He was a real representative in the House, the State House, and he's a real representative in Congress. And the reason I started with that picture is going down the rabbit hole first. And we will touch on the food and sovereignty and some of the other things that's happening. But jumping right into the rabbit hole.
Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General. Has any of the activity
That's Eric right there.
been hostile
Huh.
in your reports? I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity by UAPs or by people within the federal government, both.
If you were
Now, this congressional hearing was dealing with UFOs, different things that are happening in the sky and happening in the ocean. And I wanted to start off with Eric just to validate the conversation. Because again, this is normally crazy talk. And I'm going to tie this into what's happening, the monkeys with herpes and all type of things. But let's look at another congressman that was asked this question before we even touch on 3-Eye Atlas.
They're in these deep water areas, and that's why, I mean, like we say, we know more about the place of the moon than we do what's going on there. Now, what we have.
Now, this is Tennessee Congressman.
In these deep water areas, and that's why, I mean, like we say, we know more about the place of the moon than we do what's going on there. Now, we have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, be very.
Now, I'm not saying aliens is coming or anything like that, but what I am saying is it's very interesting that we have turmoil everywhere. We have what would appear to be a B movie villain president, and I say that just going off the comments and statements.
Aviation. I actually had a brother who was a pilot, and see, Biden used to say he was a pilot. He was a pilot, he was a truck driver, whatever, whoever walked in, he wasn't a pilot. Wasn't much of a president either, to be honest with you. That I can tell you. That we all know.
Right? In congressional hearings about UFOs, while we have universal governmental shutdown and 42 million people subject to be cut off of food stamps. So why am I starting with the distraction? Why am I starting with, where's it at? With this. Because last night I played a small clip and I seen a lot of interest. And I also seen a lot of people wasn't aware of what has been talked about since, I think, July.
Anomalies, ADAs, because apparently these mysterious objects aren't just flying anymore. They're up, they're down, they are even in the ocean. Seems thousands of the unidentified objects are reported every year. Not spotted in the sky.
Now again, we had a president
since 2022
that's currently talking about a 3,000-year peace deal. Could the 3-eye atlas be real, or could it be a red herring utilized to?
We passed closest to the sun on October 29, 2025. I got a text message the other day from someone who said that he is trading options on the volatility of the market with an expiration date of October 29 in order to make money, and I immediately thought that, I don't know if there would be meaning.
Or could it be used to redesign global instruments? We just heard from him, and he's not the only one, that has been utilizing the potential terror along with, where's it at, our president's investments to quadruple their wealth right now. All while we're sitting allowing this bullshit to represent us.
The president is legally obligated to use this emergency fund. But last week, his administration was preparing to do that. We are here today to send a very loud and a very clear message to President.
Now, why do I say bullshit? I actually opened up for Bernie when he came to Kansas City. But for this to be a statement that came out today, and I'll play it again.
The president is legally obligated to use this emergency fund, and up until last week,
if this is the truth, why are we just now hearing it? If this is the truth and y'all had a standing agreement to utilize the emergency funds if the government remains shut down this long, why the hell y'all just now saying it? All right? Why y'all saying it? What is today? Wednesday? So what are we? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days before the cutoff, before the deadline. Why are we being promoted that we have a spaceship potentially? This is the Harvard.
We're saying that this object is nothing but.
This is the Harvard scientist and Joe Rogan.
We're saying that this object is nothing but a comet and it's very normal. People were dismissing your concerns.
This object is the size of Manhattan Island. It's at 4.5 times the Earth-Sun separation. The trajectory is aligned with the plane of the planets around the Sun to within 5 degrees relative to Earth when it's closest to the Sun, and that's the time when a spacecraft could do a maneuver.
Now, if this is true, why isn't this being talked about right now And why are we having government redesign and oppressive, what do I want to say? Oppressive targeting of programs. And before I get too off of it, this is the NASA website, right? And I clicked on NASA's website and I went in there and I put in 3-Eye Atlas just to see what NASA was going to have on their website. So, and y'all can do it too. Y'all can put in NASA. And then when y'all get on there, put in 3-Eye Atlas. It's going to click on these right here, right? So they have images of interstellar comet 3-Eye Atlas, July 21st. They also have a link for another 3-Eye Atlas, which is a different camera angle, I believe. And they have several other links to different things about it. So I don't know if it's a spaceship, if it's a comet, if it's a red herring, if it's being used for redesign. But like I said, we're going to go down the rabbit hole tonight because we're seeing everything play out in real time, right? We're seeing the president benefit tremendously off of his own investments in office, which is something we've never seen before. From stablecoin to the generalization of tech giants, we're seeing scenes from 1990s movies, if I can get it to play, happening right now.
Tonight, the urgent search for dangerous research monkeys that escaped from the wreckage of a crash on a Mississippi highway.
We got 21 monkeys that was on this platform on the road.
Video showing several monkeys
What the
crawling
fuck
in the
is going
grass.
on, man?
Heavily armed officers
Come on.
responding to the scene. Authorities say a truck carrying nearly 24 rhesus monkeys from Tulane University overturned on
And I actually had to play that a couple of times. I was like, did he say racist monkeys?
monkeys from Tulane University. Overturned, they say a truck carrying nearly 24 rhesus monkeys from Tulane University. Overturned on Interstate 59 in Jasper County.
Here's one of the monkeys right here. There's one sitting
All right. So we got a space rock coming. We got modified monkeys with COVID and herpes.
Here's the truck where the accident is. Now here's one of the monkeys right here. Let's zoom in on this so you can see this. There's one sitting right there.
Right.
I've seen 4 to 5 climbing around inside the back of the trailer, but there he sits.
Hey, watch my man come out the back real quick before I get out this one. Because I just like
We
the
got law
way.
enforcement here
I don't blame him for coming like that.
on purpose for this reason. In case one of these, they're highly aggressive. We'll walk back just a little bit closer to that Scotty Ray mobile in case something happens and we have to get out of the way of them. All right.
Just chilling, right? But why do we have herpes injected, COVID injected monkeys traveling across the United States while we have 42 million people getting cut off, right? And an interstellar rock coming. And typically in this time frame, we're bulking up in government and local governments in particular know that there's going to be a lot of trade jobs, which is an economy boost. So why is this happening that this is
On the
happening
American
on
economy tonight, Amazon cutting 14,000 employees, pointing to artificial intelligence. And UPS says it will now lay off 48,000 workers. Here's Elizabeth Schulze.
Tonight, massive layoffs at the world's largest online retailer. Amazon slashing 14,000 corporate jobs, signaling more cuts to come.
Now again, I'm not saying this shit's connected because I can't prove it's connected. So that's why we're doing a conspiracy theory episode tonight. But it's interesting that during the holiday season, and we all know technology was taking over, we know AI was taking over. So that's not my point here. But during the holiday season, when typically you have UPS jobs and you have Amazon jobs and you have the other carrier jobs that are seasonal that amp up, they're cutting everybody. Cutting everybody, right? We have states that are positioned to legally give rational reasoning to the administration to actually implement martial law, to actually implement enhancement of federal security. What's the word I want to use? Federal security. I don't know the word I want to use. So I'm just going to use federal security because I'm thinking about a little bit of everything. I'm thinking about the doxing. I'm thinking about the labeling of citizens, which is legal now. I'm thinking about the detainment and the shipping off of citizens that we're hearing about now. And I'm thinking all of this, if I was a conspiracy theorist person, was orchestrated. And if this shit was orchestrated, I would say this is just a distraction.
Map that will bring an additional Republican seat to the North Carolina congressional delegation. Republicans hold a razor-thin margin in the United States. The motivation behind this redraw is simple and singular. Draw a new map that will bring an additional Republican seat to the North Carolina congressional delegation. Republicans hold a razor-thin margin in the United States House of Representatives. And if Democrats flip 4 seats in the upcoming midterm elections, they will take control of the House and torpedo.
Now, they've been honest about it. They're not even lying about it, right? So I think right here, they're going to give you the list of states that's already been flipped.
Republicans have now gerrymandered their way to 7 more House seats. 5 from Texas, 1 from Missouri, and now this 7th new seat in North Carolina.
So yes, we have the midterm elections coming up. And I do think there's going to be a midterm election. But again, if I had a 10-4 hat, what if the midterm elections was just a distraction? You know, a time frame to continue and solidify a plan. And I would kind of be crazy for just thinking this abstractly, but for those that tuned in last night, we definitely heard my man say this.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So that 22nd Amendment.
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds.
Now, he said that there's many different alternatives, and we'll lay this shit out when the time's right? We heard that. And then the president came back out, and he did some damage control, or did he? Because I'm not a psychiatrist, but I do like to examine people. And sometimes ego gets in the way of a good lie. And it seems like he was given a excuse for why he wasn't going to run until his ego got touched by it being a joke. And I could be wrong. You tell me.
A spokesperson for the White House has announced that all
Okay, wrong one. We're going to come back to that one. Where is it at? I think this is it right here.
You know, based on what I read, I guess I'm not allowed to run. So we'll see what happens.
Since you're trotting me off the third term.
Well, I don't think he said that. I don't think he used that term, but it's a very interesting thing. And I would say that if you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. You know, based on what I read, I guess I'm not allowed to run.
Now, he could be trolling. He could be joking. But when she said Speaker Johnson said it was a troll, it appeared that he got a little bit offended. Like, nah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what possibilities happen. And we've already heard him talk about that if the country was in turmoil, according to the Constitution, according to the law, right, you couldn't have an election. We've had the military being paid by friends of the president. Now, if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would be like, damn, that's not only illegal, But wouldn't that be like buying a militia in the army? But I'm not in office anymore. So let's listen to somebody that's in office and maybe I'll believe them. Because, again, I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Reported that the private donor who gave President Trump $130 million to pay U.S. troops during the shutdown, that he is billionaire Timothy Mellon. And the donation appears to violate federal law. But what do you say to Americans who look at that and think it's President Trump, not Democrats, making sure the troops get paid?
It's Trump, cuz.
But I think one of the reasons that President Trump is refusing to negotiate is because he likes the fact that the government is closed, because he thinks he can exercise.
Now, he went left. He started talking about the president wanting the government to be closed. I'll let him finish up here.
King-like powers. He can open up the parts of the government that he wants. He can pay the employees who are loyal to him. I mean, this is a leader who is trying to transition.
I'm going to read you a comment real quick. Maybe it's a plan to create chaos, to provoke crime, to implement more police and military intervention, take over in cities while simultaneously working towards their goal of population control, starving people. And you know what? I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. Now, the problem that I have is that there's a lot of people that have that same sentiment that maybe this is a plan to create chaos and maybe this is a plan for mass implementation. Well, if that is the apparent stratagem in front of you, what you gonna do right now? Do we wait on the knife to be put in the neck before you try to remove it, right? Before you grab it at the helm and try to remove the blade? Or do you preemptively stop the knife from going in your neck? And I don't know. I'm just asking questions because it appears that we have, before I say this, prophecy can be all type of things, right? So people can believe in prophecy and they can create that reality from their belief in their actions. And then you got people that believe prophecy is abstract and it just happens. You have people that believe prophecy can be utilized for population control in the aspect of you're creating an arc and a reality at the end. So either way it goes, it appears that a lot of prophetic positioning is happening, which is interesting when you watch the turmoil across the board. So we have mass chaos here, right? We got rocks in the sky that's coming. And then we have crowns.
Symbolizes the divine connection between the authority of the heavens and sovereignty on earth, as well as the strong leadership and authority of a leader.
Now this is like the third sovereign style award this dude got, which is funny to me because we have a whole bunch of things that's either being positioned to, like you said, create chaos and then provoke a plan for outburst and retention, which is very real a possibility. Because that's what it looks like. But if that's what it is, why are we still?
So look, right now we're staring down the barrel at two crises at once. A healthcare crisis and a hunger crisis, and both are caused by one man, Donald Trump. We're now 3 days from open enrollment. Today the window shopping begins. People are going to see drastic increases in their healthcare costs. People are going to sit at the dinner table Friday night with a hole in the pit of their stomach and saying, how are we going to do this? We can't afford another $4,000 or $5,000 a year.
You know the sad thing about this? I still think he thinks it's a game. Even leveraging is a game. But the reality is, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to feel it by mid-November, going into December. And what's going to happen to those that are cold in mid-November? Or are we going to have an alien attack from Three Eye Atlas? Or are we going to have a mass outbreak of disease because it's already being positioning, you know? What happened to this president? Why don't we have this Trump?
Democrats are going to be blamed, and the Republicans are going to be blamed. I actually think the president would be blamed. If there is a shutdown, and it's not going to be a horrible shutdown, because as you know, things will sort of keep...
Well, it was a partial shutdown, sorry.
If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the president of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
Now, people get older, and people do change, but people don't, I ain't gonna say that. People change, but it's interesting that you can find clips of the president talking about what should happen, and then when he's in this position, we seeing him doing something different. So either he's cognitively not there, or the plan that you're seeing unfold before your eyes takes time and participation. And the participation will be the American people going along willingly with sufferers. Right? We see this happening across the board.
Benefits will not be replenished by the federal government on November 1st. Okay, so just remind Oklahoma, this is a federal program, and due to the shutdown right now, the fighting that's happening in Washington, D.C., they're not going to be replenished. Unfortunately, SNAP benefits are not the only...
You know what? That's true, but I'll give you something peaceful that's potentially chaotic, right? So it's true that people feel like they don't have power to change anything and that they can't stop any of the plans. But all of their plans are centralized off of fictitious reality, right? So when we talk about fiat currency, paper money, or even digital currency, neither one of these are actually real. Their value is associated with what we give it value. No greater, no less. So let's just say that, you know, people just decided to stop participating. What do you think that would do? People just stop participating. You know what? Like, you know what? What's the point of going to the store, paying $5 more for something that doesn't cost $5 more because an artificial tariff has been placed on it? What's the point? What's the point of showing up Monday when you already said my job is gone on Tuesday? Now, what would that do? That would create a shitstorm, but we're already in a shitstorm, right? When food stamps get cut, you're going to see farmers get hurt. When you see farmers get hurt, you're going to see the pipeline tighten up, trickle down. And it's not even a guess, it's how it works. I went in the grocery store earlier today, and I seen the security guard in the back of the grocery store. And I'm not shocked by seeing security guards in the store, but the fact that the security guard was positioned in the back of the store let me know that this store was already preparing for bullshit. And I'm talking about the grocery store off of 39th and Prospect. Which was interesting to me. It felt like the beginning of a dystopia, authoritarian reality. Just the positioning, the new camera, the intense look. Not chilling in the front. And it's not all bad. It's not all doom and gloom,
Remember
right?
the sky was gonna fall, we were gonna
Yeah.
go into Great Depression, the stock market was gonna collapse.
Yes.
People like Paul Krugman were saying it was gonna be the worst economy ever. And of course, we've got an economy that's flying pretty high right now. We've got very near 4% growth, 4%, which is something we never came anywhere near under Joe Biden.
This is real too. When you look at the stock market, certain stocks are booming right now. Crypto, depending on how you invest in your money in crypto, you can actually make money because he is openly manipulating the market and not even hiding it, which should be a red flag, because either they want to redistribute wealth to everybody, or possibly somewhere in the rabbit hole, when you give people carrots and they eat it, they get comfortable. And then they don't want those carrots removed. Could it be possible that the influx of market manipulation and participation by those that are following his codes and his orders and his sons and colleagues' tweets that openly tell you what to bet on, what to get involved in on? Could that be the next step when we talk about the national ID? Is that what's coming after the red herring? Because something's in the sky. I don't know what's in the sky. We know the government is shut down. We know that the programs, where is it at? We know that the programs aren't coming back. And you know how you know the programs aren't coming
And
back?
now we're closing them up. And we're not gonna let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're gonna have a list of them on Friday, closing up some of the most egregious, socialist, semi-communist, probably not full communist, we're saving that for New York, but semi-communist programs, and we're closing them up. We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So the Democrats are getting killed,
Now it's
and
funny
now we're closing them up.
how he's using, or how they're using, prejudice and small-mindedness to get people. Because I asked this question the other night, and I still haven't seen one of the Republicans that have been talking on here that answers it. What the fuck is a Republican and a Democrat program? After it's passed, it's funded by whatever government that it's on, whether that's federal, state, or local. And it's a universal program now. You don't only get access to it via your political participation last election. You don't have to show voter cards when you go to rural hospitals that benefited from Obamacare. But this is the madness that we're saying is politics. But it's not, because politics is war. And war is what?
This classic Larry. The president's bought more than $100 million worth of corporate and municipal bonds. That is according to filings from the Office of Government Ethics. This kind of active trading by a president is unprecedented. It means Donald Trump stands to benefit or suffer losses, depending on how these bonds perform. But
Now, am I mad at him for investing and benefiting off of lax of laws? No, not really. But it does show a moral breakdown, because yes, you can do it, but because you can do it, should you do it? And if you're doing it,
Democrats get a little bit tight right now. It's their constituents, a lot of them that in some of these inner cities that's going to need SNAP to survive, and they're getting.
why are you doing it? You're doing it because you think the people in the inner city is going to suffer the most? Now, I hate to tell you, I don't think so. I think that poor folks are used to being poor. I think middle class folks aren't used to being poor. And lower wealthy folks don't know what it feels like to be poor. And I think that clash is going to be real. I think that clash may be part of the mechanism that he's talking about.
He's going to get a third term, at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But no.
I'm just saying, it's just not a game. Yeah, they do know what's coming, but so do you. The playbook is not hidden. That's the thing. Like, you got certain people that I believe are still thinking that they can negotiate as normal, but then you got everybody else that's already on board. And if everybody is on board, you need to wake up. And if you wake up, then again we have to operate differently. Completely differently. Because if this is an orchestrated plan of global redesign, and they keep telling you that they need a little bit more time, not in that fashion, but I don't know what's happening in 2028, but he needs you there in 2028. He says that. He says Trump is a vehicle, right? That means that the plan is a stratagem, and the stratagem is being operated on while we're looking at rocks in the sky. And again, I'm not saying 3-Eye Atlas isn't real or real, because I honestly don't know. I know it's on NASA's website. I know it's been talked about for a minute. And if it's flying the way that they say that it's flying, then it doesn't appear to be a normal comet. I know that we had congressmen that I just played walking down the street in Washington talking about it's shit in the ocean.
They're in these deep water areas. And that's why, I mean, like we say, we know more about the place of the moon than we do what's going on there.
Which is interesting to me. I haven't talked to Burleson since I served with him at the Capitol, but seeing this video with him in it was interesting to me because, hold on, where is it at? Did I go back too far? It was interesting to me because I know him. And I was like, huh.
Did you believe
That's his
that
commitment.
government's in possession of UAPs? Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile?
Now, I want to say, and I want to be confident because there's a lot of commentary about the 3-Eye Atlas aliens possibly being 7-foot blacks or Africans. I'm gonna say Africans, that's what they say, but they'll be melanated black folks. But I don't know if that would necessarily be a good thing for us melanated folks, because if I came home, and again I'm in the conspiracy rabbit hole, if I came home and I see that y'all didn't pay attention to, the artifacts in South America, the artifacts in North America, the artifacts in Africa, I don't know if I'll be happy with y'all. I don't know. I don't know if I came back and all of the physical artifacts and knowledge you allowed to be taken and just use the excuse that, they're going to do it anyway, or they got a plan for us. I don't know. Maybe we want the little grays to be in the 3-Eye Atlas. And again, what 3-Eye Atlas is, if you just put it in, you would get a whole list of articles from Yahoo, Newsweek, some other publications. You can go to NASA's website. You get the latest update, indicates the interstellar object will reach, no, that's on the 21st. Anyway, you'll get updates if you click on it. That was an old update from October the 21st. But it's interesting. Interesting times that we're living in. And if one was to be a conspiracy theorist living in the rabbit hole, one would think that either the rock is aliens or the rock is going to be utilized as part of some type of global redesign. I'm not talking about the nuclear war tonight because I haven't had time to read those articles, but it's rumored that our president is talking about testing some nukes along with the Russian president has been talking about it. So, potentially this all could be a strategy for all of that, right? Bullshit war. And what if they even threw in some religion in there too? What if it came around December the 25th and then now it was no longer alien? Shit's interesting, man. And again, I told you he was gonna go down the road. He's showing that he doesn't need taxpayers' money. Yes and no. So yes, he's showing that he doesn't need taxpayers' money necessarily, but I'm not gonna say yes on that aspect. I will say he's showing that he doesn't need taxpayers' approval, not their money. He's showing that, and this is interesting, he's showing that he doesn't need taxpayers' approval or congressional approval. So we potentially could be talking about, and not even the reserve money that should be used for SNAP, but what about executive premise powers to issue payments? Because he's doing that shit for the military and everything else, right? Big business. Big business, yes. They run and they fund everything, but big business doesn't run shit without anybody. Use Walmart and the small proprietor. Walmart makes money, small proprietor leaves the area. Walmart becomes the only instrument that sells things. But that's our fault. Right? And Walmart's going to continue to be Walmart. And they have a significant imprint when you look at their tax incentives that they get in areas. And then they typically move once that incentive leaves, but they don't leave the area. They'll move like a mile and a half out of the zone into a new zone, which is very strategic. The same when we look at the imprint of healthcare from their workers and some other things. I don't want to get off on that though. You should watch this show called Paradise on Hulu. Hey, but that's even the more funny shit, right? So if you look up Stargate, you'll see that there's a couple type of Stargates. You'll see that there's a TV show called Stargate that dealt with people running through portals and weird ass aliens and stuff like that. And then you will see that we have a Stargate funded by the president. Right? We have a Space Force too, funded by the president. So I don't know what's happening, people. I can't tell you what's happening, but we have a rock in the sky, according to NASA. We have food and sovereignty created by the government starting Saturday. Right? We have a constitution that is no longer a constitution. We've talked about that in several episodes. We're not going to go into that tonight. But due process and all of those other virtues that were supposed to protect citizens aren't there. We've seen the changing of definitions of who can vote and being legitimized. We've also seen the fundamental repurposing of a federal agency, which is ICE, into an active quasi-militia. And they're quasi right now because there's still some rules and regulations that restrict their unregulated operation outside of border areas. Now look into the Stargate. And the series was good until it got weird, until it got too far in. But look into ours. And the question is, why? Like, we all know it was a TV show and a series, so either it's a game, and they're joking, and they're putting it in your face. Like, I encourage people to study history, because if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would be drawing lines to the different countries and leadership. And you'll start seeing resemblances and bloodlines, which is lineage. And most people don't trip off lineage because you got to create lineage to trip off of it. But once you start creating 3 or 4 generations, and you living in 3 or 4 generations of strategic placement, my kids are going to do this. This is going to happen in the next 20 years, right? We're going to all invest in this and blase, blase. That starts becoming a reality. The food and sovereignty starts becoming a reality only when you allow others to control your access to food. And we've done that. There is no law actually currently that doesn't allow people to redesign what they believe government should be, except for fear and what's normal and what's comfortable. But my question is, digging into the rabbit hole, is what do you do when you uncomfortable? You just gonna wait on people to make you comfortable? You gonna wait on them to figure out which list, where's it at again? You gonna wait on him to figure out which list Friday?
And now we're closing them up. And we're not gonna let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're gonna have a list of them on Friday, closing up some of the most egregious, socialist, semi-communist, probably not full communist, we're saving that for New York, but semi-communist.
Only reason I got in politics, the main reason, I don't like being a pawn. You either control your destiny or you let somebody else control your destiny. And yes, they got a plan. And participation has always been normal. But you're seeing all normal rules thrown out the fucking window. From the redistricting, we just went through that. From the financial investments, we just went through that. From the disease monkeys. And the fucking big ass rock that nobody's talking about. That's floating through the air, potentially. And I say potentially because they've always been able to tell us what's in the sky, but never have been able to tell us what's at the bottom of the ocean. And I've always been cautious of when somebody can tell me what's in the next room, but can't tell me what's in their pocket. I trust a person that can tell me what's in their pocket before I trust a person that can tell me what's in the next room. So if any of this conspiracy stuff is real, why are you gonna do what you did today, tomorrow? Yeah, it did. It did. I used to watch it, and I watched it for a minute, because I think sometimes they display information in front of us or symbols in front of people that are observant. And I think right now, when you have scientific actors, and I say this not discrediting dude because he is a scientist, but
really weird stuff is happening in space right now. And if you don't know why people are freaking out about a possible alien flyby in the next 6 to 7 weeks, let me fill you in. On July 1st, 2025, NASA discovered 3I Atlas, only the third object ever confirmed to have entered our solar system from interstellar space, with a mysterious orbit that is not bound to our sun. Early estimates suggest that it is massive. It could be up to 20 kilometers in size and is traveling at 245,000 kilometers per hour, making it the fastest interstellar object ever detected traveling through our solar system. But what is people really interested in this object is this 12-page paper where they highlighted just how close this object is getting to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, and the statistical likelihood of that happening is less than 0.005%. And
now, scientifically, whatever it is interesting, right? Or dangerous. So why isn't it part of the news cycle? Why is the only thing that we see on the news cycle is this? All right. We see podium presentations daily about the same shit. All right. We see this daily. I think this
So
is.
look, right now we're staring down the barrel at two.
I already played that one. I don't want to play that one again. We see the same shit. The same Democrats in front of the same cameras, the same Republicans in front of the same cameras, talking about the government is shut down and we can't pay for food stamps. But then we hear, and I am going to play this, but then we hear this.
Trump. The president is legally obligated to use this emergency fund, and up until last week, his administration was preparing to do that.
And again, if that's real, if they had a standing agreement up until last week, why are we just now hearing about it? And more importantly, why is it political gamesmanship across the board? If that was real, and I'm not saying it's not, but if that was real, then you should feel played. If what he's saying and how mad he's saying it right now, you should feel played. Because that means you've been sitting on the keys and now you mad because the day before the lock, and I don't know, I can't think of an analogy. You sitting on the keys and the day before you're supposed to turn it over, now you got an issue? And we supposed to rally behind and jump behind and be like, yeah. Well, what the fuck? Y'all been shut down for 28, 29 days. And 3 days before it ends, you talk about we had an agreement up until last week. So all of this is theater. All of this is population redesign, possibly. And everybody's going along with it because what?
I do say it very proudly. 1 year ago, our country was in very, very serious trouble. Some people thought our country was dead. Now we're literally sort of an inspiration to a lot of other countries. We are indeed, I use the term hottest country, but we're the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. The United States.
You feel that? We the hottest country by far. So maybe that's why y'all comfortable with y'all position.
States is blessed with right now, the strongest economy, the strongest borders. This all happened over the last 9 months. The strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth.
And he's not bullshitting. In the last 9 months, while people have been sitting at home watching versus battles, talking about concerts, and other things that have no basis other than quick entertainment. They redesigned everything in front of you. And it's damn near finished. Right? We've heard, and this is one of the realest things you're going to hear from the president. Is this it? No. Where's it at? This is one of the realest things you're about to hear from him. Want to make sure I hit the right one. Was it that one? No, it's not that one. I don't see it right now. I can remember it though. He talks about, I don't have to remember it. Here it is. Realest shit you're going to hear from Trump.
from Congress in terms of that, the great big beautiful bill. We get everything done. I said, let's get it all done. A lot of people want to do it little small pieces, like 9 of them, 12 of them. I said, put it all into one bill, and if we get it done, we're done for 4 years. We don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that.
Dude, he's not playing, man.
We're done for 4 years. We don't need anything more from, if we get it done, we're done for 4 years. We don't need anything more from Congress. We don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that. For 4 years, we don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that. We're done for 4 years. We don't need anything more from Congress in terms of that.
At all. We don't need anything more from Congress after that. The fuck? You think he's bullshitting? Project Bluebeam. Yeah, they're all the same. So when I talk about red herrings, false flags, all that shit, Project Bluebeam, they're all the same. But when you hear those names, again, those are cutesy names to get you comfortable. The same thing that I was talking about when you see the military walking in downtown areas just chilling, right? That gets you comfortable to checkpoints. That gets you comfortable to seeing military folks walk down the street. Because you're not until you see it a few times. And then when they start fucking with you, it's too late. Right? Because you was comfortable with it. You was comfortable with the infrastructure getting set up. We see them going to not St. Louis, excuse me. They are coming to St. Louis, but that's a different thing. We see them going to San Francisco, right? And the president has already made that target city. They're targeting New York after that. And they're telling you, right? It's not guessing. After dude wins the election, we're gonna be up in New York. He said this shit. And you think he's playing about it? Nah. Because it appears like, if we stay in the rabbit hole, it appears like it's part of a plan. Because dude's kind of religious, and I don't even know him. It's you're seeing Zeeks and all type of shit that you haven't seen before. And I don't have issues with religions. I'm just saying, optics is everything. And you're seeing shit being placed in front of you with the hopeful understanding that you're not going to do anything to disrupt the plan or the momentum. Because you was right in the comments, businesses do run shit. But businesses can't run shit without people buying the shit that the businesses have. You're like, whoa, what are you talking about? If you look up the legislation that I filed, I'm going to keep talking about this bill until I do an episode on it. You'll see that I filed a bill for clone meat. You go to the grocery store right now, in Missouri, I ain't going to say everywhere, but you go to the grocery stores in Missouri, you don't see no bones in your meat. And I like buying meat with bones in it. I done seen T-bones with no bones in it. Like, how the hell you have a T-bone with no bones in it? And I said all that to go to what you're supporting. We have people talk about they're killing us with the food. Yes, we support this. And if we was in the rabbit hole, we wouldn't. If we was in the rabbit hole, we'd be like, you know what? It's very plausible that not only are they lying to us about pretty much everything that we don't participate in. And I'm saying this with understanding. I'm saying this with understanding how developments don't get developed and they sit vacant for years on years. And the population supports a new plan every couple years without taking the time to see who the fuck is on the plan. And were they the same people that was on the plan before? 18th Divine. Shots fired. Pow. Inner cities all broke down the same. East side, west sides. If people was in the rabbit hole, they'd be like, either we moved to those areas, or not only was gerrymandering real, but urban design was real. Urban design is real. And there's people that benefit off of moving population. And population moves off of comfortability. Yeah. And I don't know why people are so comfortable. I couldn't actually tell you why people are so comfortable when you walk around and you know you spending too much on shit. I went in Price Chopper a few days ago, and they have I want to be right on the cut. Anyway, it's a cut of meat, beef. It's usually like $8, $9. I went in there, it was $22. I was like, cut off, man, cut it out. It's the same cut, dogs, and it's actually smaller than what it usually is. Like I didn't cut the bottom off, the back off. We know that meat doesn't cost that much. I don't have the clip, so I'm not gonna play it, but there's a rumor that the Argentina beef may have issues with it. But the president's gonna fix that. Again, I live in Missouri. Why didn't we invest in Missouri beef? Texas beef. Yeah, that's the problem. People don't stay informed, but I think we may be past the time of just being informed. I think people need to figure out how they're going to operate and how they want to operate. Because again, if we're in the rabbit hole, and either the big rock comes and it's not a big rock and it's a spaceship in December, or the big rock comes and it's not a spaceship, it's part of Revelations, or the big rock doesn't come and we're in our third month of no food stamps, or the nuclear war that they're talking about now pops off, or people just flip out because they're not eating enough and martial law is implemented because people are running up in stores, and particularly, cities that already have the National Guard there, like Chicago, Memphis, these high poverty rate cities. But that would be being a conspiracy theorist and believing that shit's a setup. That would be believing that the longest government shutdown that they said was going to be the longest government shutdown. Well, it's not the longest right now, but they said it's going to be the longest. And I believe it's going to be the longest. And I also believe the president when he said that when the government first got shut down, that it gives them a chance to surgically gut programs. I also believe when he says Friday, they're coming out with a list of programs that aren't coming back. And I really believe them when they say that 42 million Americans aren't going to eat because they're going to position it as partisanship. The Rock, I'm not 100% sure where I'm at on that. I know it's on NASA. I believe the monkeys more than I believe The Rock, necessarily. Because they've been talking about it, but they haven't been talking about it. I believe it's probably going to be utilized in some type of form or fashion for universal, immediate redesign. And I don't actually know what that is. Because I'm not 100% sure about the Rock. I think I answered most of those. I'm going to get ready to get off here in a minute because we a little over an hour. But again, look up 3 Hour Atlas. Go down the rabbit hole and ask yourself, Why are they showing us this? And what actually is it? And if it's real, why aren't they talking about it? And why is the president funding government institutions outside of the government? And if he is, not if, because we know it happened, but let's just say if he is funding the government by outside resources, doesn't that mean technically that that's no longer our government? Wouldn't that be whoever brought it? Because the taxpayers are the ones that pay for the services. And if somebody else is paying for the services, do they now control the services? And if they do control the services, why are you paying them to pay them to control the services that you no longer control? That's like a paradoxical question. Why are we allowing our senators to bullshit?
The only solution here is we need to appropriate the money. I mean, that even if you could put a Band-Aid on it, it would not, you couldn't pay all of it. And so we need to appropriate the money.
If it doesn't happen, what's the impact on their state specifically?
If we don't do it, you mean, 650,000 people in Missouri are gonna miss food systems. I mean, people are gonna go hungry. 42 million people nationwide.
That's one of our senators from Missouri, Josh Hawley. He also had a bill associated with this comment, so don't think he's just sincerely concerned about everybody across the board. But I do give him credit for at least emotionally tying in. But he did have a bill associated with it too. Because again, you have farmers that are going to be significantly affected by the SNAP cut. They probably going to feel it more so than the people that are actually losing their benefits. And if I stay down the rabbit hole, wouldn't it be interesting if that farmland that is lost is now corporatized, I'm messing that word up, but becomes part of corporations? Wouldn't that be interesting if the housing market that the president is talking about federalizing becomes institutionalized housing? Wouldn't it be interesting if after the shutdown and whatever the big rock is happens in December, if the reinstitution of the government requires some type of digital verification? Wouldn't that be interesting if all of the mass layoffs are going to be tied into that innovation? Because since we've seen adjustment in the U.S. financial structure in the last 9 months, and since we've seen universal changes in the law in the last 9 months, and since this is a sentiment of the stratagem,
he's going to get a third. Well, he's having trade-offs all the time.
Hold on, let me go right to it. Oh, this large is small. I can't go right to it. I think it's right here. Yeah. And this is a sentiment.
This is the reason there's kind of tension
First of all, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
I missed the quote that I wanted. It was a quote about ripping up the Constitution. But he hit it. He hit it. He needs to finish what they started. He's a vehicle. And again, I'm about to get ready to get off. Check those out though, man. Oh, last and but not least, We talked about the war in Venezuela last night, or the potential war in Venezuela, but we did not talk about this, and I'm not going to get into it tonight. But we did not talk about the smart city aspects that we're seeing in replaced areas, in particularly Jamaica. Jamaica just got hit with a huge hurricane, and if I was to stay down the rabbit hole, they had already projected Kingston to be a smart city by 2030. It would be very easy to build on shit that's already tore down. It's my understanding that the hurricane set over the island, which is kind of unusual just to sit. And if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would probably be thinking about all the potential seed clouding technology if I was down that rabbit hole. If I was down the rabbit hole of redesigning global connectivity and redesigning global colonization, paired on top of understanding family lineage and history. Because America started off as an experiment. And we still pay taxes to who? That's what Paradise has in their storyline, smart city, but it's more to it. Yeah, the smart city's about to or dangerous because everything is locked in, but everything is already locked in. People aren't paying attention. When you get on your cell phone, all of your stuff is already, if you switch cell phones and you don't remember all your passwords and all of that good stuff, you're going to be surprised how many websites and how many logins Google already has for you. You're going to be surprised with the updates that are updated without you knowing, regardless of your privacy settings. If you're not one of those people that researches your privacy settings consistently on your phone and change them when the phone gets updated. And even with that, you will be surprised. You'll be surprised how willingly people give up freedom for what they think is going to be beneficial. I use COVID as an example, and I know I'm about to get off, and I am, but I know I got that clip ready somewhere right here. I use COVID as an example. I didn't get the shot. I refused to let my children get the shot. A lot of people looked at me like I was crazy. I was in office at the time. Everybody around me got the shot. Everybody around me was, I'm talking about people in office, was promoting public safety and people to get the shot, right? So now I'm just really sticking out, looking like an asshole, because I'm not doing none of that. Like, man, I'm not going to tell people to contact the health department. I'm not going to do none of that. And I could be wrong, but I think it's more dangerous, right? And then we see this, and I'm getting to my point about comfortability.
Do you have any science to back up your opinion?
The best data are autopsies. So in the largest autopsy series published to date, I know because I'm the senior author, of all the deaths we examined, and we re-reviewed them. We had an adjudication committee. We had ways of arbitration deciding on did the vaccine cause death. The answer is, of these cases that came in for autopsy after vaccination, 73.9% of individuals, it was...
Now, why did I play that? Not to talk about the 73% of people that died, but to talk about the amount of people that got a shot because they said they had to. And I know fear is real. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to lose their job, because then you think about how you're going to be able to provide, how you're going to be able to pay for things, right? So fear is real, but they was forcing people to do it. And you have a choice when you're being forced to do anything. You can choose to go along with the forcing, or you can force back. You can push back. Not saying that the pushing back is going to be beneficial in all scenarios, but the pushing back guarantees that whatever the plan is not going to go as planned. And if you don't know what the plan is, pushing back is the only thing you can actually do. Because other than that, you're following the plan. And the plan is not going to be beneficial to you because you didn't plan it. You're on the table. So when we talk about cutting people's benefits, how many of those 42 million people will be willing to take some type of bio ID to guarantee that there is no fraud and abuse anymore? To guarantee that it is no longer a Democrat program to feed immigrants, but it's a America First program to ensure that those that are on it are only using the benefits to feed their children. We've already seen the president talk about, and I don't have that clip right now. We've already seen, I'm gonna say alleged, we've already seen the president alleged to say that he wants or would support drug testing on a regular basis for those that get snapped. We've seen in states that they try to implement that same shit. So how many people are going to continue to give up their freedom, which gives up your freedom, for convenience? And if I was to go down the rabbit hole about growing food, then that would solve a lot of people's concern about food and sovereignty. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking people to get it. I remember the first time I got food stamps. I was with it. They gave me $600 some in the car. Like the first couple of weeks, I was like, I don't want to use it. Then after that, I go to the store and throw that shit down like it was a black card. Bow! All the pop, all the chips, all that good shit. But I also wouldn't let nobody tag me for it. And I'm not saying they're gonna tag people again. We down the rabbit hole tonight, but we see redesign happening, man. We see from 1948, and I'm getting off after this, but we see from 1948, where's he at? To now, the stratagem has been clear, and I got him in here. I know I got him here. I don't think I deleted him yet. Boom. Right? It's clear. And y'all still walking around talking about
people in the country, even among the Jews, the Zionists particularly, who were against anything that is to be done if they couldn't have the whole of Palestine and everything handed to them on a silver plate so they wouldn't have to do anything.
Ain't that where they still talking about the 3,000 year peace deal? And the shit that they doing over there? Right? Melanated folks, black folks in particular, we don't study our history. And by not studying our history, we leave it as slavery. That is so fundamentally flawed, to leave melanated history as slavery. And I say that factually because when we use certain words, it becomes culturalistic. When we stop using culturalistic words and we examine the evidence, we can understand that names change, but identity doesn't. Names change, but DNA doesn't. Well, DNA changes, but you know what I mean. The imprint doesn't. So, let me get off here. Look up in the skies, though, man. Check it out, 3-Eye Atlas. You can go to the NASA's website, see what they're saying about it. See if it's real. Saturday, if you know people on food stamps, it's gonna be rough. It's definitely gonna be rough. But if you think this shit is politics as normal, you stupid. If you think the recommissioning of electoral districts
Map that will bring an additional Republican seat to the North Carolina.
is only about Republicans' numbers, you're stupid. You're stupid. That's a distraction. Because if they win, yeah, he's still in power. But if he loses, you think he's going anywhere? Do you think he's going anywhere?
I'm pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools. And it's total